Hi, I'm Carly Paoli, and you are listening to The Gareth Nelson Show.
We are joined by Carly Paoli on the Gareth Nelson Show today. Carly, how are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. It's been an exciting time for me. I keep waking up in the morning and thinking, today's the day, album release again. So, yeah, it's exciting.
So tell us a bit about how you got started into music, etc.
Gosh, I think as early as 4 years old, my parents were the kind that had home videos when they'd first come out. So I've got videos of me when I'm 3 or 4 singing along to all the songs from Beauty and the Beast. Um, I I used to love to sing the part of Sebastian the Crab in The Little
Yes.
Mermaid, and I do it in a very good Jamaican accent. Um, Actually, it's quite funny because that it takes me when I did this concert, which it's become my album. It's a live album, live
Yes.
at Cadogan Hall.
Yes.
On that evening, I ended up doing a Disney medley,
Oh
and
wow.
it sort of took me from Disney through the ages. From the classics, Snow White, where of course they had a legitimate soprano singing the role of Snow White and Sleeping Beauty, and through to Beauty and the Beast with the song that the Beast sings
Yes.
in Alan Menken's remake of the
Yes.
film
Yes.
Evermore. Um, and I think I did that because it just takes me back to, where it all started for me. And now I have a career in classical music, but the truth of it is it started with Disney.
And what inspirations have you been? You mentioned a few there, but I mean, are there classical singers that you've looked up to?
Yeah, absolutely. I wouldn't say it's just classical singers. I really admire a performer.
Yes.
Barbara Streisand's been
Oh
an
wow.
inspiration from an early age. Her performance in Funny Girl, and it's just absolutely incredible. Um, I'd say Gene Kelly.
Okay.
I fell in love with the MGM musicals when
Yes.
I was 7 or 8 years old. That was something that my mum enriched my life with. I had every MGM video, just stacks of them,
Yes.
and I knew all the words. Later on in life, when it sort of came to classical singers, I listened a lot to a lady called Frederica von Stade,
Yes.
who's
Yes.
one of the most stunning mezzo sopranos. Cecilia Bartoli is
Yes.
a wonderful performer, and Joyce DiDonato, who's very much current of our generation, and just has the most stunning sound and deliverance of a performance.
And career highlights for you so far in your career? Things that have stood out for you?
I have to say, Cadogan Hall was special because it was my first big concert to a London audience. There was a 65-piece orchestra, a Grammy Award-winning conductor, Stephen Mercurio, who'd
Yes.
flown over from New York, and it was just a really special moment to be stood on that stage, for an artist to have that kind of glorious sound behind
Absolutely.
them and putting your voice on. It means everything. It really does. So that night was a true blessing. Another career highlight would be the Roman Forum.
Yes.
In 2016, my first original song became adopted as the official song for Pope Francis's Jubilee,
I know. It's amazing.
and that led me to this special concert in the Roman Forum, which was something that they've said could never happen again because it was
Yes.
so hard to make happen
I'm sure.
logistically. So I'm thankful I was part of it.
Yes. And regrets on the other side of the coin? I mean, things that you would do differently or could change?
I don't really have regrets, no, because it's funny there are a lot of setbacks as a singer. Of course they are when you go for auditions and you're first starting out and you're gaining experience. But when you look back, you realize that if anything had been different, then you perhaps wouldn't be in the place that you are today.
True.
So,
Well said.
no, I don't have any regrets.
And what would you say the current sort of state of music is in the world? Classical music, all kinds of genres. What do you think? Is it in a healthy position with the advent of social media and iTunes and Spotify and all these things?
It's wonderful because we live in such a world that's full of so much colour and so much variety. There truly is something for everybody.
Indeed.
Nobody's left out these days. The only thing I would say, I think, with social media, perhaps people's concentration levels aren't as don't stretch as far as what they would have done in the past. And so it's very important and quite difficult, to always, you've got to hook somebody in within the first 3 seconds, which isn't always easy.
No, true. Well said. And I mean, the next question for you is, I wanted to know, especially from a youngster's point of view, classical music, is it still relevant to the youth in the world today?
I think it absolutely is. You've just got people like Ed Sheeran that's just recorded one of his most iconic songs with Andrea Bocelli, and it's been a huge success, and that's really wonderful because it's, I think classical music has to evolve. Of course, we will always celebrate the Puccinis and the Verdis because they're the people that set the high levels for us and set those incredible standards. But then we also have to take what we've learned from them and evolve and make something that's relevant to our generation and something that will become historic of our generation in the same way they did.
Absolutely, well said. And tell us about this new song you've done now with the Invictus Games Choir. How did that come about?
This is it's a very special song for me in the sense it was composed for me specially by a gentleman called Walt Afanasieff. He's a 20 Grammy Award-winning composer. He wrote All I Want for Christmas Is You for Mariah Carey, some of her most iconic songs, lots for Celine Dion. And he put his heart and soul into this song, which is called Liberty. And it features as a bonus track on my album. And I recorded it with the Invictus Games Choir, purely because the lyric really, it's a poignant lyric.
Indeed.
That it's so powerful, especially in this year that we recognize 100 years since the end of World War I.
Yes.
And it's a lyric that talks about overcoming something that's incredibly difficult, but as a unit and standing together, we can overcome that, and we celebrate the liberty that people sacrificed in the armed forces for what we have today.
Yes.
And the Invictus Games Choir was they're a group of people that kind of epitomize what that lyric means. They depict exactly what it stands for. They've all overcome something incredibly hard in their life, and yet we've found this common ground through music as a means for their healing process and a way to share with the world what they've been through. And the proceeds of the song will actually be given to Help for Heroes. So hopefully it can do a lot of good in such an important year.
Well, I'm sure it will, and it's an absolutely beautiful piece of music, so congratulations on it.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
And now, what would your advice be to young artists coming up now? They want to be a singer, and what would you advise them now?
It's certainly not easy. There's no guarantees at all in the music business.
No.
I'd say one of my greatest learning curves has been to follow my instincts, because when I left, I studied at the Royal Northern College of Music. And when I left, I started going into this commercial world and doing the corporate performances. And you come across a lot of people, and all of a sudden you're with, people that you've admired your whole life.
Yes.
And they're professionals at the top of the game. But you've always got to recognize your own instinct, because the only mistakes I can say I've made is when I've not been true to myself and I've gone with somebody else because I believe they know better. And of course, you've always got to consider people's opinions, but always stay true to yourself. That's something that's really important, because nobody knows you better than you know yourself, of course.
Oh, well said, absolutely. And what's the future for you now? What's on the horizon, as it were?
I have a few performances coming up. I'm thrilled to say I'm going to be a part of the BBC World Music Day, which is a huge honour, and I'm incredibly humbled to be able to sing and be a part of that. I'm travelling to Italy, actually, in the next few days.
Oh, wow.
I'll be performing on the Amalfi Coast, a place called the Bay of Poets.
Okay.
And it's going to be a special a special evening, a celebration of music with a young symphony orchestra, and it's taking place right in front of the sea. So
Fantastic.
that's an event called Suoni del Golfo.
Okay.
There's lots of things happening all the time. I mean, I'd love to reach as many audiences as possible, because that's my primary love, is making a connection with an audience.
Absolutely.
Yes, I love recording, but I love to be on stage and share something live.
Well, this broadcast is going to South Africa as well, so I wanted to ask you, can we expect you in South Africa?
Whenever you invite me.
I'll talk to the powers that be.
No, it would be a great pleasure. Who knows? Who knows what the future might bring?
Well, Carly, it's an absolute privilege chatting to you today, and I wish you all the best for everything coming up. And congratulations on all the fantastic music you've already made. And hopefully we'll stay in contact and chat again in the near future.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you.